crowded the floor. Couldn't bear it without you. Don't get around much anymore. Thought I'd visit the club. Got as far as the door. They have asked me about you. Don't get around much anymore. Oh darling, I guess my mind's more at ease. But nevertheless, why bring back old memories? Been invited on dates. Might have gone, but what for? Awfully different without you. Don't get around much anymore. It must have been moon glow, way up in the blue. It must have been moon glow that led me straight to you. I still hear you saying, dear one, hold me fast. And I start praying, oh Lord, please let this last. We seem to float right through the air. Heavenly songs seem to come from everywhere. And now that there's moon glow way up in the blue, I'll always remember that moon glow gave me you. That moon glow gave me you. That moon glow gave me you. Missed the Saturday dance. Heard they crowded the floor. Couldn't bear it without you. Don't get around much anymore. Thought I'd visit the club. Got as far as the door. They have asked me about you. Don't get around much anymore. Oh darling, I guess my mind's more at ease. But nevertheless, why bring back old memories? Been invited on dates. Might have gone, but what for? Awfully different without you. Don't get around much anymore. must have been moon glow, way up in the blue. It must have been moon glow that led me straight to you. I still hear you saying, dear one, hold me fast. And I start praying, oh Lord, please let this last. We seem to float right through the air. Heavenly songs seem to come from everywhere. And now that there's moon glow way up in the blue, I'll always remember that moon glow gave me you. That moon glow gave me you. That moon glow gave me you. Missed the Saturday dance. Heard they crowded the floor. Couldn't bear it without you. Don't get around much anymore. Thought I'd visit the club. Got as far as the door. They have asked me about you. Don't get around much anymore. Oh darling, I guess my mind's more at ease. But nevertheless, why bring back old memories? Been invited on dates. Might have gone, but what for? Awfully different without you. Don't get around much anymore.
Um, oh, aloha, Uke Maniac. I'm glad you were able to make it.
All right, now we should have sound.
Yes.
All right, check 1, 2, 3. How's the sound? As always, we're going to take a few minutes just to sound check, just in case something like that happens, making sure everything seems leveled and we're not peaking. If everything sounds okay, please let us know in the comments.
Absolutely.
And again, if you hear in the comments and you don't know how to write back, you do have to sign in on your YouTube account. Then you can actually write things to us.
Yes. And you'll notice sometimes my eyes will look over to the side like this because I have a big screen that I can look at, so I can look at all of the different comments. I also have an iPad that you cannot see in frame, so I can be typing to you guys as well. So we've got it set up so we can both type to you now.
Awesome.
Glad to know that it sounded good.
And definitely, we're doing a little different. This is like studio version 4.5 at this point, but we're doing a little different setup with the audio. So if there are any issues, definitely let us know on
And
Nils.
shaloha, Nils. It's good to see you.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so before we get started, one of the things that this topic will be revisited numerous times throughout the year, mainly because you can't do everything you want with just one or two songs. And part of the experience that we went through is, again, how to take a song that we all know and love and can play, and how do we start applying all the different things we learned about in the years or months or decades of practicing, right? A lot of times we get stuck with just learning certain things and having no way to actually apply it to a song. So some of the things that we'll be going over today, take aspects from different things, and we're going to mix and match a little bit, but we're going to take a look at different genres throughout the year and give you guys just, some ideas to explore on arranging and creating different versions of these songs. That's the main goal for today.
Yeah, and I know that in the future, it's been requested that we do a few jazz songs, so I know that we'll definitely go through and take you through some of the different steps as far as comping. Not necessarily, this isn't about chord melody per se, it's really about like playing and listening to the other person and trying to play things that are going to complement more so than anything. And I'm sorry if I sound a little funny. Unfortunately, I'm not feeling 100% today. I've got a cold, but still, live stream must go on. So I'll just sound a little funny for this one.
Okay. Now, with that said, most of our topics are chosen by our artist work students. And we wanted to ask you guys to see if there's a bunch of overlap as well. What are things that you're hoping for in future live streams? Just to kind of get some ideas on things to explore. And again, it could be anything from like, using a looper pedal, which we'll do later this summer. What was another one that we thought it would be a different... it would have to be a legit video. I think besides the looper, there's another one.
Well, we did singing and playing at the same time last time, because that was one that we were like, that's a whole live stream. And honestly, that's one that we can always cover again. But the looper one is definitely its own thing. Setting up, how to set up for recording yourself. We did a very brief talk about it and showed you our setup, but I know that some people would like to just have a whole time dedicated to just setting up your iPad and getting the right lighting with simple equipment, not necessarily all of the fancy stuff.
Oh, yes, that's a good one. Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
Decent lighting with cheap gear.
Yes.
I'm all about that.
Yes.
All right. Hi, Holly.
Yay, I'm glad you were able to take a break from your cleaning. I read on the Facebook that you were going to try to join us as your break, which is fantastic.
All right, so let's actually just get started playing a little bit. And we're going to start off with a Hapa Holly song that was actually brought up in a video exchange from one of our students, Beautiful Kauai. And so we'll kind of take a look at that and explore some ideas on how to kind of change it up and arrange it, maybe for a couple different people or just to make it sound more full within your own playing. And again, if you guys have more live stream ideas, I'll write it in. Please email us cheemaisel@gmail.com.
Yeah, definitely the looper pedal thing is something that we've had requested multiple times, so that will definitely happen. That'll probably be an episode that is mostly Craig, because I am awful with the looper, because I have zero practice with that. But it'll still be, it's a really great thing, and also to be able to learn how to use your own equipment is really, really important, so that you know how to talk to a sound man, so that you use the correct verbiage, and also so that you understand just in general how things work when they're tweaking this and that.
Now, and Brian, I love that you mentioned like the AV equipment. We're seeing a lot of our students kind of up their game on. Oh, speaking of the devil, Teco, who did an amazing multi-track video exchange recently. Again, I love seeing, with our students and just everyone in general, like we're seeing way more ukulele players do more videos that are unique and just different and cool. And what I would love to do just like a video making live stream or workshop one day where we just talk about different ideas on creating music videos or creating recordings.
And also, I think it'd be really important with that to discuss what programs you can use for editing and everything, because I know that's another question that comes up when you're recording videos. Well, how do I edit, etc. So I think that would be really great to add to that too.
Oh, hello, hello, hello. We had an amazing ukulele retreat in Berlin a few weeks ago. It was so fantastic. And we had it paired with the Grand Northern Uke Fest, which is phenomenal. So it's great to see people from Germany today.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us.
And one of the great things about video making today compared to even 10 years ago, with smartphones have fantastic cameras and video capabilities. The biggest issue is typically the sound. So video wise, especially with decent light, we can get away with a lot. It's the audio that we tend to lose out on. And there's everything from gigantic field recorders to big studio setups to something as small as like this Zoom F1, which let me switch this, which we use all the time. Let me see if I can
make it focus on it.
Focus.
There we go.
There we go. So what's great about this, it has different capsule mics that you can buy. Mm-hmm. It also has an attachment for a lav mic, so we can make it portable. We can take this little guy off and go from the output straight into a camera, or the lav mic we can use. There's different attachments like let's see, it's in the other cabinet, like a shotgun mic that can be attached, so this can sit on your camera or on a tripod next to your phone. But there's a lot of versatility in something small like this, and they're not incredibly expensive in the grand scheme of things. But for the most versatile tool in our kit, I think, is this little guy. It's like the little brother of the Zoom H6. So this is the Zoom F1, but it's something if you guys are interested in kind of audio gear, I highly recommend that product. All right, let's see. So let's get started with some playing. Let's see if I did this right. So I do this, and then I do that. Okay, so I had to set up all these different kind of templates beforehand, so there's always a risk of things not working quite as well. So I'm glad this is kind of working out right now. Good. All right, so thank you guys. It is our pleasure, and part of this is a way for us to really help with some of our students' questions and ideas, as well as just, again, we love contributing to the whole ukulele realm as or what does Brian call it?
Ukulele-dom?
Yes. So it is our pleasure for doing this, but thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
So this is a song called Beautiful Kauai. It's a Hapa Haole tune. We'll play it kind of straight to start, and then we'll explore some ideas on how we can kind of change it up and make it a little bit more pretty.
Now you'll notice on the chart that we've made is that the way that the chords are lined up, the first row of chords closest to the music is your first position, and then the next position and the next position. So we gave you some options, but right now I'm going to just play in the first position chords and play very, very simply. Yeah. And just stay on a G. Here we go. There's an island across the sea, beautiful Kauai, beautiful Kauai, and it's calling to me, beautiful Kauai, beautiful Kauai. In the midst of fern grotto, Mother Nature made her home, and the falls of Wailua, where lovers often roam. I'll return to my isle across the sea, that's the basic tune for you.
And it seems that we're clipping just a hair. I'm going to bring this down.
So it's amazing how I'm always impressed at how Craig can actually, he can not only play these live streams, but he's also watching all of our levels and going through and making all sorts of changes through as an amazing teacher. So kudos to him for being able to do all of that stuff all at once. So for this song, I was keeping it pretty simple, and Craig was just adding just a little bit of sprinkling of fairy dust to things, but also still using fairly simple chords as well. But you can certainly try. You want to do it again and have people try to other positions if they want?
Okay, so, thinking about, again, not only for playing with other people, but even just playing for yourself, one of the biggest ways to start creating more sound is to start doing different voicings or different chords up the neck. And a lot of these chords, as you see, aren't incredibly hard. You've seen a lot of these chord shapes before. So for example, let's see, we have the G. You can go to your second position G, kind of up here. Now, to make it easier, because we have a G string on the top, I could actually leave that open and play 775, and it'll sound perfect. You don't need to do all 3 fingers for there.
Yeah.
So open G, 775. And already, even just playing that G with Sarah, doing the low G, 1, 2, 3, 4. Already we start getting creating just more texture in our one chord.
Right.
And again, as you see too, I don't have to strum the same way. A lot of times, how we approach these chords are going to be fantastic by just breaking them down and hitting individual strings one at a time, or like a one strum, and then kind of isolating those notes in that same shape or same chord, and all of a sudden how we approach those notes can completely change a song. Now, let's see. So let's say instead of a G down here, every time you see a G, try and get to that G. Now every time you see a C, maybe play it in the B flat shape. So if this is B flat, 2 frets up, and then we have that C there. And I'll give you some other variations a little bit later. And for that D7, let's actually play this D7, bar 5, middle finger on the C string. Now, one of our favorite things to do in this kind of shape is add the 9th note, which is the 7th fret here, on the A string. So again, if this is bar 5, let me block my eyes, bar 5, middle finger on the C string, ring finger on the A string, 7th fret. This is a D9, and you can take that ring finger off. It's one of my favorite kind of voicings, especially in this shape. It's so easy to do. And you can even walk it down to these other D7s that we know and love. Ooh. So let's try that again. Just maybe the first verse. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
There's an island.
Let's see.
Across the sea, beautiful Kauai, beautiful Kauai.
And pause right there. So already there's so much texture and there's so much variation in our sound now from doing something just as simple to the D9. And again, I love that voicing resolving back to the D7. So again, a very easy and efficient way of creating sound. Now, I'm gonna try something. Let's do another verse, same verse, but I'm gonna do the basic chords.
Okay.
But I'm gonna pluck a little bit differently on the right hand. So let's
and
try.
You want me to just keep it plain Jane?
Yeah, for now.
Can do. 1, 2, 3. There's an island across the sea, is calling, calling to me. Beautiful Kauai, beautiful Kauai.
So again, I love how something as simple as just keeping the same chords and being able to create almost these like little harmonies or backing kind of voices behind what Sarah's doing. And again, I this is just ad-libbing at the moment, but even once I heard that kind of pattern, then I could repeat and call back to that a little bit later throughout, and then you have that consistent. And all I'm doing is the A, E, C string. A, E, C. And again, it's a lot of times we try to do just way too much, and we're trying to add texture, or add these layers on things. And again, it's these simple little things that can make the biggest difference. Not only that, but again, what I love also about this kind of single note approach to doing a chord is that there's less just overall sound, and so things become a little more intimate, and you can hear a little bit more articulation in what you're actually doing. Aloha, Peter.
Peter!
This is so fantastic. It's so great to see you guys.
And also to kind of go along with sort of Craig's theme, something that we've talked a lot about in our online school is adding hammer-ons and pull-offs to some of these things. Craig's doing that pattern, but you could very easily do something like that, where I'm just manipulating the chord themselves. So what I did there was hold my G, pull off my middle finger on that A string, and because I have a high G, I have that G note happening here. And then I hammered that back on and then went to C because that was the next chord. And I hammered on the D note. So that's me staying in one main position. And that can still sound really pretty, even if somebody is just strumming away. Doing that and having a bit more space so that you're not playing exactly what they're playing will also sound beautiful as well. And you're getting to work on techniques like the hammer-ons and pull-offs. You're practicing those techniques and finding ways to use them as well.
Nice. Now, do you want me to hold on the fort and you want to experiment a little bit on what you would do if you're
If I was doing that, let's try it out. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I didn't go to D7, but again, that was me just kind of making stuff up during the sort of B section of the song, in the midst of Ferngratto. So I really only went between two different C's, but during that A7, I actually walked through a variety of different A7s. So I did an A7 in your typical position. I added the 9th note, which is the 2nd fret of your A string. And then I went to that next position of A7 that's actually written there, which is that 2, 4, 3, 4. I I can't remember if I actually did this note, but you could actually suspend it by moving your pinky up and then moving to that third position, which is on the 5th fret and should remind you of an F7, which then led me very nicely into that D7 on the 5th fret. And I added the 9th that Craig talked about and walked down all of the different D7s that are listed to then bring me back to the first position in G. So that was what I was thinking about as I was doing it, because my thought was during that part of the song, it's sort of a climax in that tune, so I wanted to sort of create this rising feeling and then bring it back down to when we get back to that final verse. So that was sort of my thought process as I went through it, and that's the beauty of knowing some of your different positions, is that you can try to move through them as fluidly as you can.
Now, for those of you who are exploring with a little bit of chord melody, a little bit of picking, it's so much easier than you think. For example, for a song like this, we know the chords that we're playing over. And then the melody, let's see. So now, if you can do that, so let's say I'm playing just the single notes over the chords.
Okay.
1, 2. Now, if you're playing by yourself and you want to create a combination of that, again, part of it is combining just the two. So I know I'm playing over G. So we have. Now for the C, next chord is C. I'll play this C with the pinky here, because I can go back to that C. Now my melody note is here. Here, D7, because I have my B note as my melody. Beautiful girl, so for this note, I need that open A, and then going back to the G note. So part of it's getting familiar with the melody. Slowly building that up. You don't have to play it outside. Now C chord. Now I need this D note here over the G chord. I could walk it down. So I need the D7, but I need my melody note first on that B note to the open A. G note with the open A. And then to the G. Or G chord with the open A. So again, it's as simple as that, as really just taking a look at really just mashing the two up.
Yeah.
Really close. Oh yeah, you could definitely use the screen capture as well to get that. Usually for the PDFs, we could usually pump them out pretty fast, but we've been super busy recently.
Yeah.
Especially with the San Diego Arts Fest coming up next week.
Woo!
We have James Hill and Anne is going to be here. Abel Grimas Jr., Jason Arimoda, Steven Espinola. It's gonna be fantastic. It's craziness.
And we're prepping for a full house.
Yes, so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Milo Foltz, Merlin Showalter.
Yeah, it's gonna be really awesome. I think you named everyone, dear.
And we have who do we have? We have Tide Music coming down.
Oh yeah, David Iraguchi's coming.
David Iraguchi it's gonna be fantastic. I'm super excited.
Yeah, so folks who are near San Diego or in San Diego, it's gonna be 8th and 9th of June. So definitely come on down. I don't think the tickets are really expensive either. So I would definitely come and check it out. James, I think, is doing a double workshop Friday, but I think the beginning level one is sold out. The advanced and intermediate one, I think, might still have some seats, but if they do, it's only a handful. So if you're wanting to do a class with James, definitely let Hale Ukulele know.
Yeah, we do have the Midwest Youth Camp coming up later this month as well, which will be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to try and do the second version of
that's
this?
what I was about to say so the walk down thing that you were hearing Craig play in that sort of melody that he was doing actually makes me think about some of the changes that you on occasion will hear happen to songs. And this change is actually sticking in a 1-6-2-5 progression in the tune. And so we have it now on the screen for you. You can see I'm now just going to use first position chords. But if we just went through slowly, saying, there's an island, this part's the same, across the sea. And instead of staying on G, it goes to E7, which is the 6 of G. Beautiful. And then it goes to the 2, Kauai. And then the 5. Beautiful Kauai. So you can see that you can still sing that same melody, even though we've changed up the chords a bit. And we've also kind of broken the rules, because usually your 6 chord's typically a minor, and so is your 2. But in this one, we've left it all dominant for now. But let's go through and play this again. And if you know the chords in other positions, you may totally do so. But this is just something that on occasion you can do to tunes. If I remember correctly, I think the Don Ho version of this song actually uses these changes, whereas other versions of it do not, but it's just an interesting variation that you can sometimes add when you have a 1 chord happening for a long time and then the 5 chord shortly after. So anyway, let's just play it through. So 1, 2, 3. There's an island across the sea. Now the E7. Beautiful Kauai. Beautiful Kauai. And it's calling to me. Go to the E7. Beautiful Kauai, beautiful Kauai. In the midst of Fern Grotto, Mother Nature made her home, and the falls of Wailua, where lovers often roam. And I'll return to my isle across the sea, E7, beautiful Kauai, beautiful Kauai. Now, one thing that I've also seen people do with this song is during that the sort of B section of the tune where you have in the midst of Fern Grotto, Mother Nature made her home, where you'll actually hear people take that 1 chord, take it down a half step, and bring it back up. So that's something in researching the song that I also found to be pretty popular as well. And there was one other thing. Oh, you'll notice that I paused during, this is still in that B section, over the D7, where lovers often roam. So I paused, knowing that, because I'm listening to Craig, I'm hearing him, doing various positions and things, and my thought there was to give him some space so that he could noodle or even play a chord that might be like a hair out, So one thing is he took advantage of that, and he actually played a D7 sharp 5 chord to take us back to the 1. And the cool thing about that is that it creates this little extra piece of tension. So when you land back on that 1 chord, it feels even better.
So the sharp 5 in that shape, I stuck my ring finger on the inside string. So this is my D7.
Mm-hmm.
And then my ring finger is going to sneak into that E string right next to my middle finger. So frets-wise, we are on 5, 6, 6, 5.
Yeah. And the cool thing about that, and the big thing to remember is if you're going to use that chord, a regular D7 should not be happening when you do that. Otherwise, you're going to have this really, really nasty clash. So if I hear him do that, and I'm in first position, and let's say I didn't actually stop, I would need to make sure to do that with him. So if I was in my first position, D7, and I wanted to sharp the 5, that note is on my G string. So I'm actually going to have to reach across, and it would be 3, 2, 2, 3 is this position's sharp 5. So again, that was 3, 2, 2, 3. If you wanted to try that in your first position as well. Trying to think if there's anything else. You can, of course, play in other positions if you're trying out that, adding that 1, 6, 2, 5 in the song. You could certainly play your E7 in other places and your A7 in other places as well, which I believe Craig was doing while we were playing.
You know, the big elements for this type of song is either approaching the chord itself differently, or, you know, a different voicing. That could either mean like another G chord up here, or you could start playing with like major sixes. And so instead of a instead of a C major here, I could play a C6 up here, which has this beautiful full sound.
Right. And then the G6.
You know, so I mean, this is where you can get creative. But even something as simple as, like, say in the bridge part, before going back into the regular strum. But again, you know, part of it is is kind of matching what's happening lyrically or melodically, and just mimicking that backing track to kind of emphasize that. So again, there's so many ways to kind of create your own version of these songs.
Absolutely. And I kind of want to jump back real quick to when Craig was talking about using, you know, major sixes instead of your major chords. So one thing that you can totally experiment with is take this song and take this particular version of the tune, because of that 1625 edition, it's going to automatically sound a little bit more jazzy to begin with. And I want you to replace every G with a G6, every C with a C6, every E7 with an E9, every A7 with an A9. That is one way to sort of instantly make something have a slightly more jazzy feel. Now, you could play E7 instead, but for example, if I did that, I'd have, there's an island across the sea, beautiful Kauai, beautiful Kauai. Something like that. And that was me just making it up on the fly. One thing I did do there was I had my G6.
Watch your volume on the
and I moved that G6. So the G6 that I'm playing, instead of this first position one, I'm actually holding the 4, 4, 3, 5 one. And I'm walking that down to the E9, which is 1, 2, 2, 2. So that's one thing that you could potentially do. Again, that's something you can experiment with on your own, or maybe we'll do another live stream where we can talk about taking a song like this and making it have a more jazzy, swingy feel.
Yeah, and Brian, if you can bend your middle finger to get that cleanly, definitely go for it. For me, I need to rely on that ring finger to make sure everything rings out solidly. This one, there's a chance I might clip the A string a little bit, but if you can work your magic on that without hurting yourself,
yes,
go for it.
And Dan, we did actually chat a little bit about arpeggiating and playing the notes within your chord a little bit as the other person strums chords. Absolutely, that is something that the very first thing you can do to get your playing to sound even better with someone else. Absolutely.
And whenever you're doing a 5-chord, getting back to the start, the sharp 5 usually can work really, really well, regardless of the song.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's. Do you want to switch songs?
We can.
Or is there anything else you wanted to bring up on this one?
On this one thing we always have people ask us about, intros and outros. And one thing to definitely think about on a song like this is you can keep it as simple as you'd like. In fact, a lot of the recordings that I listen to for this particular tune, they stay on the 1 chord and manipulate that chord and then go into the tune. So you don't have to do a big old fancy introduction to the song if you don't want. You can just sit on the 1. And I'm just adding 1 simple note. There's an island. Or I could use that time to talk, It's a good time, if you're a performer, it's a good time to practice some patter. For sure. But that would be something just to think about on a tune like this.
All right. Any other questions on this song before we switch up? Because I want to have one kind of Hoppa Holly tune, and one more of a kind of more pop kind of song to give you guys a couple of variations of style and things we can do differently. I know there's a lag on the chat, so I'll give you guys a minute to, if there's any other questions we can answer before moving on. Definitely let us know.
Absolutely. Yeah, this song is a lot of fun, and it's a beautiful, beautiful song. We got to visit Kauai a few years back. I think that's the only time I've been, though. I think you've been a few times, haven't you, Craig? And we got to go, and Aldrine and his wife took us around, and it was such a beautiful, beautiful island. And I feel incredibly grateful.
The weather was actually really nice, too.
It was amazing. We really lucked out. It was just sunny and gorgeous, and I felt really honored that Audrine was the one saying he was our tour guide, and he was an amazing tour guide. I just was really honored that he did that.
I could not do the same, on Oahu at all. I would be like, that's where the poke place is. And...
he knew the history, and he was able to, and he was fantastic. So, and he's just a fantastic person all around. But it just was a really special trip to be able to do that. And he took us to the best Japanese shave ice. I can't remember the name of it.
Tege Tege.
Tege Tege. Oh my God. So if you're ever on Kauai, find it. It's a food truck. It's light blue. Tege Tege. The best shave ice on Kauai, I think.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, there's such a crazy delay on this, but we will keep pushing forward. And if we can always come back to it if we need. Now, I have to admit, my first experience with the song was not the original growing up in Hawaii. It was Justin Young's version.
Which is really
This.
phenomenal.
It is a great. So, I might... Well, we'll try just a straight...
Just do it how you want, Craig.
Run through... Well, we'll do a straight version first, and then we'll talk about some stuff that we can do with it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And I know we don't have the title listed, but it's Leaving on a Jet Plane. John Denver song.
So this is another song too. When we're getting started, we can riff on just F and B flat. And we can even just say, when we're ready, we can go F, B flat. I can look at Sarah, okay, let's do it here. And to see... Just to reset, and all my bags are packed, I'm ready to go out, standing here outside your door. Hate to wake you up to say goodbye. But the dawn is breaking, it's early morn. The taxi's waiting, he's blowing his horn. Already I'm so lonesome I could die. So kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you wait for me. Hold me like you never let me go. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Ooh, babe, I hate to go. There's so many times I let you down. So many times I played around. I tell you now that they don't mean a thing. Every place I go, I think of you. Every song I sing for you. When I come back, I'll wear your wedding ring. So kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you wait for me. Hold me like you never let me go. Leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Ooh, babe, I'd hate to go. So we can even stop there for now, because one of the things I love about this style of song, and I know the original was much more straightforward, kind of, the straight guitar, but to me it's such an incredibly emotional song. There's so many depths in just the lyrics itself that to me a lot of this kind of strum it takes away from that. It doesn't really bring you in. So one of the kind of strum patterns I love doing for a song like this, and I'll do it in 2 steps. We can make it a little bit easier and then a little bit harder.
And one thing before you get into that I just want to point out is, remember, this song, we have a lyric sheet there with the chords listed above, but if you look at it, the song is one pattern over and over and over and over again, right? So in essence, all we would really need to do is give you the chords and have you follow along, because you have F, 2, 3, 4, B flat, 2, 3, back to F, 2, 3, 4, B flat, 2, 3, F, B flat, and then go up to C for 8 beats after that. So look at songs like this and start to see if you can see a pattern, so to help you memorize it so you don't have to be glued to your piece of paper. And then start doing some cool strumming and picking patterns like Greg's going to show you.
Okay, so for me, kind of breaking this down to something that what I feel fits a lot more. This is very similar. We'll do, and actually it mainly just involves the bottom 3 strings: thumb on the C, index on the E, middle on the A. So F chord, and we'll do C, A, E. I'm actually wearing your shirt, SD Boba Tea in San Diego. They're oh my gosh. Okay, sorry, super random tangent. I haven't been able to post these photos yet, but if you ever come down to San Diego, you have to go.
You gotta go.
Not only to SD Boba Tea. What is the other one next door? They have a new store next door.
They have these popsicles, these homemade popsicles that are out of this world. They have fresh fruit in them. I had the rose one. It tasted like a rose lassi. It was so delicious. And you can get like white chocolate or dark chocolates drizzled on it, or other yummy goodies. It's just amazing. So yeah, if you're ever at San Diego. If you're ever in San Diego, to SD Boba Tea, because oh my god, so yummy.
Oh my gosh. Talk for a second while I grab this photo. I need to show
apparently
people.
Craig really needs to show everybody this picture. So, but anyway, I'm just going to talk about the song for a quick second. So the great thing about this kind of song, with it being so repetitive, is that if you spend a lot of time just practicing the chords before you even, because one thing about this tune is if you're singing and playing it at the same time, it can be really difficult because it's incredibly wordy. So spend the time really focusing and working on the actual pattern of the tune before you start trying to stick words on top of it, because you will find that, especially if you're just starting out with playing, that it can be hard to do both, especially again if you have a song that's as wordy as this one. For sure.
Oh no, I don't have. I didn't export it. I had it on my Lightroom, and then
that's all right.
I'll show you guys later. It's awesome. Snow Pops. That's right. Thank you.
Snow Pops.
Now, do they deliver to Oregon? I wish.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
You just need to come visit. You know, hang out, play some ukulele, eat some amazing food. Oh my gosh, yes.
I wish we could do our next live stream from there.
All right, so F chord, thumb on the C again, and then middle on the A, index on the E. It's gonna be thumb, A, E, or thumb, middle, index, thumb. Now, for the B flat, same thing. So let's go back and forth between the F and B flat for just a second. C, A, E, A, E, F, C. Now, again, even with just that small change, all of a sudden the verse turns into all my bags are packed, I'm ready to go, standing here outside your door, hate to wake you up to say goodbye. Now, to change it up even more, again, adding a little bit more texture within that space. All I'm doing there is I'm holding that B flat shape with, but again, I'm not using the G string yet at all. I'm going to hit the open C and do that hammer on. So open C, hammer, and then again follow with the A, E. So from F to B flat is going to sound like this. Secret is not to rush that hammer on. Make sure you give space to that open C before you hammer that down. So all of a sudden now, all my bags are packed, I'm ready to go. I'm standing here outside your door. I hate to wake you up to say goodbye. Now, as you notice, I slid up from that shape 2 frets up. And instead of a hammer, I can do a slide. So from the B flat to C, it's going to sound like this. One more time. 2, 3, 4, 1. One more time. So now for that section, it's the he's blowing his horn. Already I'm so lonesome I could die. Now, even there, I can hit a couple of those strings multiple times, like. So I'm doing C, A, E, C, A, E. C, A, E, C, A, E. But again, the beautiful part about this is that because they're single notes, instead of doing, it's so much more delicate.
Yes.
And there's space for that now. So, having that building block of just that boom, experiment with that a little bit. Maybe add a couple extra.
And if I hear him doing that, I will probably play a lot less. So, for example, would you mind starting up and I'll just...
2, 3, 4.
A lot less.
So again, there's so much beauty in simplicity. There's so much that we can do by taking away, the constant strumming. And again, this is such a powerfully beautiful song. And a lot of times when we're all 30 of us strumming along, it loses some of that magic, some of that meaning. And again, this is something, as I was getting used to this, I would sit in front of the TV and just, kind of zone out, just working on getting that kind of picking pattern second nature. And again, broken down, it's not that bad. It's just 3 hits. C, A, E, C, A, E, C, A, E, C, A, E. But again, as we tell all our students, try to isolate just one element when you're practicing at a time to really feel like it's under your belt before moving on. It is so easy to want to do everything under the sun all at once, and a lot of times we can't do it, whether mentally or physically. There's just too much that we try to do.
Well, and the other thing too about that is if you throw everything in the kitchen sink at a song, sometimes you actually take away from the tune. A song like this, as we pointed out, is really, it's a very sentimental and a very touching song. And one of the ways that you can really bring people in is by playing less and also playing softer. Because when you play a little bit softer, your audience will lean in a little bit because obviously you have something important to say. Now, Tom had asked a question about would I play bass notes. Well, the problem is, since we're both tuned the same, if I play bass notes, or quote bass notes, because I'm not really able to play, my notes are in the treble clef, but if I play the root of each chord, unfortunately, it won't, you won't really hear you won't really hear it because he's playing the exact same notes I am. But if I was playing on my baritone, maybe, because I could play some notes that are a bit lower.
Now, but I would then probably change what I'm doing because I am kind of mimicking, using that our lowest note, our lowest string on a high G tuning. That is kind of my bass notes there. So that's why if Sarah was actually doing that, I would probably do something. Something like that, where I would layer on top of that, letting her take more of the low end stuff. But again, this is how we try to always kind of separate where we're playing a little bit. And even if I was to, instead of the single note fills that I was doing, I could actually do, if you want to do it one time, 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, there I'm just isolating those notes within that chord. So here's my high F in that B flat shape. Here's my, in the F shape, that B flat here. And then my C is here. Again, it doesn't make that much of a difference because I'm ignoring the G string at the moment.
And the great thing about that is it jumps back to what we talked about in Beautiful Kauai about arpeggiating the notes. That's what that means, is you're just picking out individual notes within your chord in order to complement what's already being played, but you're just doing it in another position.
Yeah, and if you've seen us perform a lot too, you'll see Sarah and I kind of switch roles a lot throughout our set, where sometimes I'm holding down the kind of rhythm, and she's kind of, you know, doing some fills and noodling above. And a lot of times, especially the jazz stuff, she'll be holding it down, and I'll do a lot of the fills in between. So, again, you don't have to feel like you're stuck in a certain role, but you want to be versatile enough that you can kind of branch off. And part of that, again, is getting used to playing up the fretboard. I think we talked about that in another live stream a little bit.
What, moving up the fretboard?
Yeah.
I can't remember which one right now. It wasn't the very last one, but I know we have talked about moving up the fretboard in other live streams that we've done. And feel free, on our channel, you can go back. Even this one will be recorded, so if you missed the first part, you'll be able to watch it again. We'll make sure to post that. Now, the
question about playing with low G or not, yes, you do get some extra bass lines, but I would completely rearrange what I'm doing to with that in mind, because they are, all of a sudden, it is a different instrument in many ways. I'm not going to go into my whole spiel about high G versus low G right now, but there are opportunities for each tuning to be incredibly unique.
Low G is just, when you play it, it's a different instrument, and that's the best way to kind of think about it. It's not really just an ukulele anymore, and you have to play it differently in order for it to blend nicely with other ukuleles.
Yes. Now, see, even for this one, let's see. So, again, going back to the kind of vibe that we're kind of setting out, if you wanted to add even more texture, you could start adding that kind of percussive element. And there, what I'm doing is I'm doing that C note again. Now I'm holding the whole F chord this time, and I'm gonna touch my ring and pinky across all 4 strings. So this is gonna be that mute, and again I'm gonna be raking. I guess that's a good term, raking across those strings. And after that, I'm playing up on the A and adding that mute back down, up on the E. And I can do some of these hits in between to add more texture. So all of a sudden, it sounds much bigger than an ukulele. It has this a little bit more robust sound. And I do believe we did a live stream on muting and scratching earlier as well. So if you're interested in that technique, either try and find that live stream on our channel, or definitely find us at a festival. I usually like teaching that technique a lot in my workshops. Oh no.
No worries. It's recorded, as you know. I'll post it in ArtistWorks, and we'll also post the link again on our Facebook page too. So don't worry, Cindy. We'll have it up there for you, so you'll get to go back and watch it, even though you joined us a little late today.
Yeah, so let's see. Are we about to go reggae? I don't do heavy reggae, but I mean, you can... Because to me, reggae I love listening to, but it's one of the hardest things to play because it's kind of boring in that sense, where everything is super, like, you need that so I do definitely love this kind of pattern a little bit more. And when we play through the song, and this time maybe on the last verse, we'll switch roles on the uke part.
We can definitely do. Do you want to play through the whole thing? Or just
let's do the first and third verse. We'll skip the second.
Okay. Now the time has come to leave you. Mm-hmm. All right. And somebody had asked. I think was it Bettina? she had asked about adding melody notes into the song. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so we won't be able to answer that just yet. But something that you can do that. Or sorry, that's right, because it's the B notes happening. You can add them, but the problem is most of the notes are sort of in the middle, so you would need to kind of do a picking pattern as you went through it, as opposed to full-on strumming, in order to be able to get through all of them. But we're running out of time.
But as an introduction to, you could definitely
Yeah.
do a little bit of a hint of that melody. So for example, so we have.
So you can do something like that.
So
it's
that
a little
one,
more
because the
intricate.
melody line needs that B flat, you'll see me squish that index down
Yeah.
a lot to get there. So there are some really nice ways to incorporate some of those melodic lines with those chords. When are we coming to Hawaii? We are going to be in Hawaii
in July.
In July for like 2 weeks. It's going to be phenomenal. We'll do a live stream in Hawaii for next month.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
We're not bringing all our equipment though. Are we bringing both cameras? We'll discuss this later.
Live stream from Hawaii. It'll be great. We can do it with one camera.
Oh, and maybe they can see our nephews.
Oh, yes.
Because they're so cute, and they'll be there too.
Yeah, we'll play it once through. So we'll do first chorus, last verse, chorus.
And the last verse is when you want me to
take over. Yeah.
Kicking things, not singing though, right?
Up, I'm ready to go. I'm standing here outside your door. I hate to wake you up to say goodbye, but the taxi's waiting. He's blowing his horn. Oh, I think I said the wrong line. That's all right. Already I'm so lonesome I could cry or die?
Let's die.
Okay. So kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you wait for me. Hold me like you'll never let me go. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Ooh, babe, I hate to go.
Now the time has come?
Now the time has come to leave you. One more time, let me kiss you. Close your eyes and I'll be on my way. One dream about the days to come when I won't have to live alone. About the time when I won't have to say. So kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you'll wait for me. Hold me like you never let me go. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Ooh, babe, I'd hate to go.
Pretty, Craig.
So again, it's just a lot of fun things. I want to say to you, a lot of the stuff that you see us do, moving up the fretboard, again, is so much easier than you think because they're already shapes that you guys play. Yeah. You know, again, all the shapes up here, it looks like your C chord here, or the B flat shape up here for the F chord. You know, that bar G or the F shape. So F is here, 2 frets up is a bar G. Moving up, I can hit my B flat, or I can hit my C. But take the time. I promise you it's worth that investment of just practicing your different progressions up the neck. Again, the book that we highly recommend is that Roy Sakuma Treasury of Ukulele Chords. It has all those shapes written out on each page. It's absolutely brilliant. It's what we used to kind of study that when we were younger as well. But it's just, you know, we've been having an incredible year so far, and thank you guys for all of your support. Thank you for spending your Saturday with us. It's been a lot of fun. If you have questions or you have ideas for other live streams as well, and we do typically go to our Artist Work students for that, but there are some things that kind of catch our eye. We'll definitely jump on that. So if you have any suggestions, please email us at cheemaisel@gmail.com or find us at craigandsarah.com.
Yeah.
Anything else, hon?
I don't think so. I think we've covered everything we were hoping to cover today. We definitely love, again, that you're spending your Saturday with us. We're hopefully going to be able to do these monthly, which is fantastic.
Next week in Hawaii. Woohoo! We will try our best to get the live stream done in Hawaii. I don't know if... I think the Wi-Fi will be good enough.
We'll have to see. I am a little nervous about the Wi-Fi there, but maybe it won't be quite as organized. It might be slightly less organized, where we just hang out and play. And
maybe we'll do some
we'll
interviews.
Have some friends
that might be
over.
fun. That might be a lot of fun.
I think we might do something like that. So it won't be quite as formal as this, but it should be a ton of fun, I'm sure.
But thank you guys so very much.
Yeah,
have a great June, and we will see you soon. Aloha.
Bye, guys. Yay.